Mrs. Carl Callaway is a resident of the 11th floor of the Terrace House. She's confined to a wheelchair.
I don't have any personal belongings. I don't even have a purse.
Is that a fact? How did you come down? I noticed you're in a wheelchair.
We went down to the other end of the hall. It was less smoky. And we went into Mrs. Goodman's apartment, and she had windows that would open onto her terrace. And so we sat there in that breeze as long as we could until the fireman came and told us we had to go down.
Did the fireman escort you down?
Yes, and they brought me down in this wheelchair, which was a big job for them. But they did. And they were so sweet, and really, I've never been so grateful. These firemen have been just marvelous. I certainly do want to compliment the department.
MacAyeal, an attorney, told me,
when I arrived at my office this morning about 7:15, I hadn't even taken my hat and coat off when one of my law partners said, "There's a phone call for you." It was my wife. She said our apartment was burned out. I came home immediately and found, thank God, that my family was safe. We've lost all of our possessions.
How do you feel now, Mr. MacAyeal?
I'm wiped out. I feel thankful that my family is alive, and I figure I'll pick myself up and brush myself off and start all over again. I guess that's how the song goes.
Ms. Jeanie MacPherson lived across the hall from the MacAyeal apartment, and I asked her how she and her family reacted.
Well, it's so strange. I had just recalled reading about the big fire in New Orleans and Atlanta, and they said if you were in a high-rise, don't open doors. So the minute I smelled smoke, I just got my mother and father out on the balcony, and I said, we're better off here than anywhere, and I didn't go back in the apartment.
How did you get off the balcony?
Well, firemen came and opened the door, and with their help and with covering our faces, we walked down 8 flights of stairs.
The reason, of course, we made this decision was primarily on the fact that Roger brought us to this game. Of course, Craig Morton has been our #1 quarterback. He's done a tremendous job for us, and he put us in the playoffs. And we were, of course, almost out of them when Roger came in and pulled it out for us. And my feeling is that he ought to have his chance, to start this game. And see what he can do, whether he can continue the momentum that he started with the last 2 minutes in the 49er game. And as I told the quarterbacks, this decision has nothing to do with the starting quarterback of the Cowboys in the Super Bowl or next year or from now on. It was based only upon this game and at this point. And that's the only significance it has. And I just felt that Roger earned it last week against the 49ers, and for that reason I'm going to give him the starting job this week. Craig's ready to go, and I'll not hesitate to use him in the ball game if I feel that he can do something in that situation that might help us.
Coach, how much weight does the starting quarterback really carry? Just to name a quarterback.
Well, it carries weight in that you're the one that gets the chance to get in there first, and if you can produce while you're in there, then you have a chance, and that's the main thing. Roger he pulled off a great game last week, and you have to say, well, he might have been unlucky, to be in that situation where Craig was very unlucky that he had a pass or two dropped that might have pulled the game out for him, but that's the way the game goes, Sometimes it happens to you, and sometimes it doesn't.
Do you expect much second guessing in the next couple of days?
If I didn't, if there wasn't, it would be unusual. I don't know that I'm really concerned about it one way or the other as far as Washington is concerned. We feel like that we need to make the decision, and I think we need to make it tomorrow, and we're going to have offensive workout today, and I think after I see them work today, then I'll make my final decision.
This will be the third time this year that you have played Washington. They know you and you know them. Does this work as an advantage or a disadvantage for you?
Well, it works an advantage in preparation, but sort of a disadvantage in that you have to keep trying new things against a team like Washington because they read so well defensively. They're an excellent team at reading what you're doing, so you have to keep moving around a little bit, and that causes you some problems.
Does the team seem to be emotionally and psychologically prepared now to go all the way to the Super Bowl?
I think they will be by the time game comes around. We had a very high emotional pitch after the 49er game, which tends to drain you quite a bit. We were a little bit down as far as emotional drain the last couple of days, but we'll start building back today, and as we work through the week, we'll build it back up again.
Well, he was playing a little bit to the outside, and I faked out, tried to get him think I was going on the sideline. Then I threw my right hand inside of him and kind of just pushed off, as far as with my feet, and just sprinted away from him as fast as I could. And Roger threw a perfect strike, as you can see. It was a great pass. If he hadn't thrown it as hard as he did, it wouldn't have been a touchdown.
There were some super still pictures of you, and you had a grin on your face before the ball ever got to you.
Well, I think I was just grimacing, hoping the ball would hurt and get there before he reacted. And then I there was a couple of pictures taken after I caught the pass, and it was obviously a jubilation on my part, and the teammates, who jumped up and down on top of me. I was just glad they didn't kill me. They really, I was happy it was the most important pass I've ever caught in my life, and I'm just happy to be part of the Cowboy organization.
You looked back and you saw George Andry coming, and I guess your first instinct was to run.
Well, as I told the other ball players, I didn't know who was going to put a headlock on me or a shoulder block. It was really, he was tough, but I was really happy, and it's just great to be in the playoffs. But we still have another game to go before the Super Bowl, and I think we're going to be in there, really fighting hard.
Yes, because we have a fast team, and they have a smart team, and sometimes the smart guys like them, they can do better than we can by skating. They hang on to the puck, they take their time, they look. All this time we're skating around in circles, we don't know what we're doing, what's going on, and they just make a quick pass and bingo, it's in, And I know most of them players from last year. I had a chance to go into Portland last year for training camp, and I trained with all of them. And I know what they're like, and I kept telling most of the players in the team to be careful, to take the man and all that. But in the heat of a game, it's always different, You don't always think of those things.
You have to develop a little patience.
You have to, yeah.
What's your favorite shot?
The wrist shot. I don't slap the puck. Most of the guys in the team do, but I don't know. I've never had the chance of doing it that often. I'd rather use the wrist shot.
It's been said that you're a little bit lacking in size. I'm sure you wouldn't necessarily agree with that, but I believe you make up for it with your speed, don't you?
Well, it's my asset, speed, and I have to use it to my best advantage. And when you're big, well, you got to use that to your advantage and do the hitting. Guys like me have to do the skating and make everybody chase me. That's my job.
Who do you think will give you the toughest competition going down the stretch in the Central Hockey League race?
Pretty well everybody. Everything's pretty tight. It's getting tighter every game now. Everybody wants a playoff spot, and fortunately we're in first place and we intend to stay there.
The loss of a flight crew from home has struck Carswell a sharp blow. Many Air Force people, like many of the rest of us, had come to believe that the B-52s were practically invincible. After all, they've been flying missions for so many years with no planes lost to hostile fire. Privately, now, there are some folks here with very deep concerns about the future. The official Air Force story is that the Communists have had this sudden burst of success at knocking down the big jets by shotgun firing of surface-to-air missiles. There are those on and around Carswell today who fear that the truth may be more like this is the first time the old birds have been sent into really hostile areas in such numbers, and perhaps their avionics can't protect them. In short, the B-52s may have passed their day of effectiveness. The question keeps coming up in my conversations, what if we had to have a bomber force right now to protect these shores? And the look in the eye of many an airman right now is, to say the least, an uncertain look. Another point the loss has brought home, neither family nor friends of the captured crewmen will talk to newsmen. It's already been reported by wives of 2 B-52 crewmen who were shot down, wives who live, I might say, in another state, that the Air Force told them point blank not to talk to the media. Officially, Carswell is virtually closed today to mourn the passing of President Truman. But even at that, it seems to some unfortunate that the base officials say only no comment. Not even a, well, at least we're happy they're alive. Jerry Taft, Channel 8 News on the Move at Carswell Air Force Base in Fort Worth.
Okay, the requirement number 4. Satisfy your adult leader that you have good daily health habits. This is covered on page 331 and 334. If y'all will turn to those right now.
Well, our approach to the high-rise fires is exactly the way we handle this fire. We hook in with our pumping engine on the ground level, carry our hose, our mask, and our equipment to the floor below the fire, set up a command post on that floor. We extend our lines up that stairs and in on our fire floor. That's exactly what the men did here, and they did a tremendous job of containing it there due to the volume of fire.
And this is Ian MacAyeal. Ian, you're playing with Christmas and having a good time, I guess, huh? I bet you Santa Claus will make a special trip back to your house. Don't you think so? Yeah. I bet he does too. But it's a miracle. Everyone is safe here at the Terrace House Apartments, 3131 Maple. There were some 150 on the 15 floors, and through the good graces of the fire department and the many men who worked so very hard, they all made it downstairs to this lobby, safe and secured. This is Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News on the Move. Hi, Ian. Hi. Good.
On a regular basis, a half dozen or so Dallas executives gather around this table and indulge in an innocent hand or two of poker. Last night, however, the game ended a bit prematurely as all 7 men lost to a couple of intruders. Raymond Fulton, the host of the party, was the biggest loser, and he told me what happened.
Well, we were talking about criminals. I don't know if you're liberal or conservative or a moderate, but
what if you give a requiem mass and nobody comes? Well, that's what the priests here at St. Matthew's Episcopal Cathedral in Dallas are asking themselves right now, because only a handful of mourners turned out on this cold December morning to pay tribute to their 33rd president, Harry Truman. Perhaps the turnout was small because so...
I remember this, that at first I thought he was rather a dull president. And then, after the dropping of the bomb in Japan, I was terribly upset. I'm a good Democrat, and I was standing behind him. But it wasn't until just a little after that that I began to realize the flavor of the man.
A lot of other Americans remember the flavor of Harry Truman, too, and his simplicity. So maybe that plain-spoken Missourian, who just wanted a simple funeral in his own hometown, wouldn't mind it that only 10 Dallasites came here to mourn him. After all, he never did like a lot of fanfare. Martha McIntire, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Well, we have been very slow and deliberate in our work to pick a man that we felt could move into that position and move forward as we feel is needed at this particular time. And we have used everything we have available to us to select the best man.
I'll get 16 on her down, 500 bidding on demand, 16 I'll get 19, 5 bidding me 600 down, 600 bidding on demand, 19, 5 you're on 6, 5 now, 15 on her, I'll get 16. You're now 5. But a buyer, give me 17. If you want to bid on her, give me 900. Costing you many dollars, and the thing that it boils down to. Here we are with the twins of the female we just sold. Alan will have the name in just a minute. As I said again, those of you that didn't register for a buyer's number, don't be bashful. Bid right up and we will sign you a buyer's.
Very simple. Well, there was a few of our friends and neighbors. We had a card game going, and there was two men came in, one by the front door and one by the side door over here, with a gun in hand, and told us first to do anything you want but put your hands in the air. And then by the time we got our hands in the air, the man came through the other door there, and he said, "No, put your hands on the table. And all of you wearing glasses, pull your glasses off and lay your heads on the table." And of course, looking at that gun, I didn't argue back with them. I did what they said. And then we found out, too, that they told us before they left that if we would lay still and be quiet, that they would call and give them the phone number and et cetera, and let them trace it and come out and untie us. And sure enough, they did call the police and gave them the address and told them they did the robbery.
What's going to happen to your poker game now?
Well, I'm afraid it'll probably break up.
Before they left, the burglars asked the men who the big winner was. One victim replied, "I guess you are." The burglar agreed, saying, "Well, you make your money your way, I'll make my money my way." For Channel 8 News on the Move, this is Judy Hanna.
Everlasting life through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. The peace of the Lord be always with you and with thy spirit. Those with battles present the offering. Past and grant me ever hereafter serve and please the humans of life, the honor.
but if you want to be, I just need you to tell me a few things.
Okay.
What is Chief Steele's authority?
Did you conduct special investigations into these two men's personal backgrounds?